All right, you want to lose 30 pounds in 90 days? Yeah, I bet. Who doesn't? You want to do it and you want it to be extremely easy, of course. I can do this, I can make this happen, I can even show you, but the reality is, you know you, and I have a feeling I know you too. But anyway, welcome to Walk Talk Vent. Let's do this. Hi guys, welcome back. So we learned a little bit about avoiding sugar, and we learned a little bit about drinking water. And now what we're going to learn about is about walking. But we're not going to learn from a skinny person that's been walking forever. We're going to learn from a muscular person that's been walking forever. I want to introduce you to Mark Bell's Power Project. I will link this in our description, but I'm going to shut my yap. Shut your yap on your end too.
I had a client yesterday tell me, he's like, man, I really got to get on those 10-minute walks because I got an Apple Watch, and I've never heard. He was just like, I averaged 1,000 steps a day last week. I was like, what? I was like, how do you only move 1,000?
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah. I was like, that's horrible. That's horrible. I was like, that is not, I can't even sugarcoat.
Even when you were a powerlifter at your heaviest, were you still walking a lot?
Yeah, I had the kids and we were moving around, and I was a trainer, so I was moving a lot. But I couldn't believe. I mean, this is a skinny guy too, and I'm like, yeah, this is amazing.
Think about what happens to people, in the hospital when they're laid up for a while. You start to atrophy, and that's going to happen to many of us if we're not moving.
Right.
You need some sort of movement every day, and I really strongly encourage anyone, just if you have an opportunity to look at some sort of tracker. I don't know if everyone knows, but like your Apple phone, there's a little thing that has a heart on it, and you can see your steps right there. Yep. So I would encourage anybody to work on trying to increase that by about 5,000 steps a day.
Hey, doesn't the guy speaking right now look like Ravishing Rick Rude from, WWF back in the 80s, right? It's WWE now, but do you guys remember Ravishing Rick Rude? He would have his six-pack, and a girl would come in from the crowd and start rubbing on him and look like she's going to faint. Good-looking guy here.
Yeah. Like, what's the norm for you? Just kind of look at that and just say, hey, it doesn't have to be tomorrow that you do it, but just over time, I want to increase that by 5,000 steps. Now, if you have anything that hinders you from doing that, then you got to be more cautious, and you might want to think, all right, well, maybe I got to do a recumbent bike, or maybe I have to swim, or have to do something different, because there's people with like feet problems and knee problems and all kinds of other things. So you don't want to make those things worse. That's the worst thing you can do. But you've been talking about walking forever. I mean, you're the one that kind of kicked me off with walking, and that was probably, I want to say probably almost like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, when you and I talk to our friends and we reminisce, right? And we say, hey, remember we were working out at that gym 12 years ago? Well, that was 12 years ago. Like there's 10 or 11 years in between where we didn't do nothing. They've been walking for 12 years minimum, and I guarantee you they've been doing at least a little walking since then consistently. It's something you can do forever.
And you were like, you told me like to start walking. And I'm like, that's like old people exercise. Like, what are you talking about? You're like, it's the perfect fat guy thing ever because it just burns a little bit of calories. You're like, just walk around your block. And I remember literally just walking around my block. And then once I did that a couple of times, you were like, well, put on like, but I think I lost a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
I maybe lost like 20 pounds. And you're like, put on a vest or put on a backpack that weighs 5-10 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, 5 or 10 pounds ain't gonna do shit. But you're like, again, that's going to burn more calories. We got to go over this again, Smelly. So you encouraged me to do that. I started doing that. And then after a while, I started walking around with like 11-pound weight vest. But it looked like a bulletproof jacket. So I kind of stopped doing that after a while. But it was effective. It worked great.
Yeah, we can complicate things as much as you want to. And, there's a lot of people out there who, like me, who have the ability to make things as complicated as you want. But in all reality, it's really simple. If everybody's got 10 minutes to go out there and, just take a walk, and that's all that it really takes. And it's just going to have a compounding factor. If you're outside, get a little bit of sun, breathe some fresh air. I had a client.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's not complicate things. Starting with a 10-minute walk if you're brand new. By the end of the week, see if you can expand that to 15 or 20 minutes. And by the end of the month, whoa, you're doing a half hour a day, okay? It's that simple. It's that easy. Guys and girls, if you were brand new to working out, period,
and you walked up to these three gentlemen, you would be expecting them to tell you about weights, protein, routines, right? But if they were to tell you about how powerful a 10-minute walk could be, that's a great way to get into an exercise or yeah, an exercise and fitness type lifestyle and routine. So with that being said, let's get into our routine. Go grab your shoes. Let's go for a walk.
Guys, we're getting awful close to a month of walking together. It's been such a pleasure walking with you guys. I appreciate it so much, and thank you for walking with me. If you're new to the channel, we try to walk every single day, we drink water every single day, and we avoid sugar every single day. If by any chance you slip up and break one of those 3 rules, then what we want you to do is really obey the other 2 of the 3. We call it the 2/3 rule, okay? We have a little saying around here, guys. I can do this, you can do this, we can do this, let's do this. And don't forget to check out Mark Bell's Power Project. Go ahead and go to his channel and subscribe. But after you watch this, have a wonderful walk with me. We'll talk soon.
All right, gang, so it finally happened. Last night, I stayed up till like 1 in the morning watching a video. I can't blame it on editing and stuff because I finished that around 11. But I ended up staying up watching YouTube videos because let's be honest, YouTube videos are the best, right? Anyway, make a long story short, I ended up waking up this morning and had to basically get right to work. So I missed walking this morning and I would have busted out my camera this morning. But I don't know if you can tell, but it's afternoon. So the sun's high in the sky. The eclipse of April 8th has come and gone and we're still here. Apparently Jesus didn't come to rescue us. And apparently the aliens didn't come to gobble us up. So we're still alive. Let's get back to our walk. The show must go on, right? So it's about 75 degrees today. So if there is going to be an afternoon to walk, you know, it's better than most. I'm getting to the point now where I'm able to squeeze into almost all of my shorts. And even though my gut's not quite there, my shorts are all in that 32 to 33 range. So in that regards, my legs are already that skinny guy. I still have this gut though, so we got to work on that. I wanted to speak to Sherry Ann. Sherry Ann, I want you to look up from your walk and I want you to listen to me. For your first 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, you are going to be one of quite a few that might not lose 1 pound, and there's going to be a dozen or so of you that actually gain a pound. Here's my question for you if you're on day 1. If 3 weeks from now, after a ton of work, a ton of walking, a ton of sugar that you've avoided, and a ton of water that you've drank, are you going to be okay with the idea of not losing a single pound? Are you going to be okay with the idea that you might even gain a pound? That scale might be going against gravity, or at least against your best wishes, right? So if I tell you that most of you, and I've said this from day 1, if you look back at our first video together, that the only weight you're really going to lose your first month is water weight. The only reason I feel like I've lost a legitimate 5 pounds is because I've been keeping it at that 180 or lower mark for the past couple of days, okay? But in the grand scheme of things, to lose 5 pounds is not really the ultimate goal. What it does for me is it just tells me, okay, my body's starting to get back into walking mode, okay? So again, if you guys are listening, I think it's the quickest way to lose weight, but it's just one of these weird things where your body doesn't want to release that weight at the first part, okay? So even if you're doing extra credit from the get-go, and even if you completely ditch sugar and all you're drinking is Metamucil and all you're eating is oatmeal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even if that's the case, just know there is something truly stubborn about the human body. It just doesn't want to give up the fat, or at least not the weight right at the beginning, okay? If, Sherry Ann, you're doing some push-ups or sit-ups, or maybe you've got some weights that you're doing, sometimes as we're walking, we're actually developing some leg muscles. So you might be able to tell a little bit better about yourself by taking out a belt. See if your belt feels as tight as it normally does, okay? Another thing you can do is your shoes. Do your shoes feel a little bit looser than they normally do? And if your answer to all of these is a big fat no, just know again that that's kind of the way it can be for the first month or so. So please, Sherry Ann, don't give up. Your teammates are with you. A couple of your teammates have been walking for even longer than I've had this show, right? There's a couple that are in day 45 or pushing day 50. I'm sure some of them will tell you that, hey, for my first 2, 3, 4 weeks, I didn't really lose anything, okay? And when people do lose anything the first couple of weeks, about half of their gain or loss is usually water weight. Water weight is a term that everybody throws around to just tell you that your number is not set in stone. It's kind of like a plus or minus pole, right? Plus or minus 2 pounds, or whatever the case might be. But I don't want you to give up, because we already knew that you would be in that situation. And I'm so proud of you for sharing that comment, because I want other people to know that if you are sticking at the same weight, or if you have gained a pound or two, you're not alone. Sherry Ann, your teammate here, is experiencing that as well, okay? And I don't know if you remember my first 2 weigh-ins, but they were basically 184, 185, right? So I went through that same thing, okay? Another thing, Sherry Ann, is you can still baby step from here. You know, if you're having oatmeal, but you're having a bunch of sugars in it, try to lessen the sugars that you can. If you really are going based on 100% no sugar, then I promise you, just give it a little bit more time, okay? Remember, guys, the 15 to 21 days was simply so I could get you kind of addicted to taking your daily walk. If some of you have come from a drug-addicted past, I apologize when I use the word addicted like it's some sort of good word, right? But the truth is, the only time you hear about the word is in a negative connotation. I want you to be habitually into your walk. You know, I want you to do your walk every day, and I want you to really enjoy it and love it. Mala, or one of my other viewers, I think it was Mala, had said, Miss Maurer, had said, can you talk a little bit about maintenance? Guys, the cool thing about our routine here is that it doesn't really get any harder. Yes, you can add extra credit, but by the time you add extra credit, it's really because you enjoy walking and you just want to walk some more, right? For anybody here that's doing extra credit, are you really saying, I'm going to do this just for the sake of extra credit? Or do you actually find yourself just having opportunities where it's like, God, I could drive my car to the store, but I think I'll walk. I'll get some extra credit in, right? Because you're actually enjoying your walk. There's a piece of some of you that probably already know that, my goodness, we're only a couple months away from the super hot weather. I'm going to get some extra credit in, okay? So again, if you guys are doing extra credit, maybe tell us your mindset. Is your mindset, I'm doing extra credit just to get Jesse off my back? Or are you doing extra credit because you no longer feel like a 20 or 30 minute walk is what you want to do? You want to up it to 45 minutes or an hour, you know? Keep in mind, one easy way to walk a little bit further, we can even take the name extra credit out of it. One of the easiest ways to walk a little further is literally when you're done with your half-hour walk, just walk down the street a little further and then come back to your house. Your house isn't going to go anywhere, right? Remember, every couple of 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, it's better than not, you know? Keep doing it, it's enjoyable. And just how now I'm out here in the afternoon because I wasn't able to film this morning because I woke up too late. Sometimes things happen like that. But don't just say, oh, I missed it, I'll have to do it tomorrow. You've got the rest of the day to ponder if it's possible for you to squeeze in your walk. Don't ever sell yourself short. There's no reason why you can't take your walk after work, right? And if you are ever up super early, or maybe you couldn't go to sleep and you've been up since 3 in the morning, head out your door at 5 a.m. and go for a nice little walk. Buck the trend, as they say. I wanted to tell you guys that there's a new thing that I was talking to my good buddy Copilot today. Copilot is that AI that's connected with my Google searches. And Copilot was sharing with me that apparently there's a new trend. You guys might have heard of this where you live. And apparently it's called burglary tourism. People are coming to the States with visas in hand, going to Airbnbs, I assume, in ritzy neighborhoods, and they're literally stealing people's properties from their homes. And apparently what makes these sophisticated burglary crime rings so tough for authorities to pull down is the nature of tourism itself. It's people that are grabbing and then they're gone and on their way, So if you're thinking about renting out your house to people during the summer, maybe you've got multiple houses, make sure you do your due diligence, and you might not want to go for the easy money of tourism, and you might want to go for somebody that's more domestic, I saw that and I just thought, what a bummer, in life some people try to make investments so that they can get ahead of the game, and then there's other people that just ruin it for everybody, I don't know about you, but if I rented out my home to somebody from out of the country, right, a tourist, and then I came back to my home 3, 4, 5 days later after they left and found out that they took all the furniture with them, God, that would be really disheartening, wouldn't it? I don't know what it is about this world. It seems like half the people try to get ahead, and it seems like the other half try to put them down. It's really something, That's same with business. If you're young in your 20s and somebody wants to do a business, be a business partner with you in something, in some sort of venture, God, that's a great way to end a friendship, isn't it? Roommates are very similar. Did any of you guys or gals have really good friends in your 20s that you were roommates with, and now you never want to talk to them again because of how bad the situation was? I had this roommate once where I was paying the utilities on an apartment, and I was lonely. I had a 2-bedroom, and I was like, come stay with me. She was literally just a friend type. There was no romantic nothing there. And this was when I was in my 20s. And she had her boyfriend come over after work, and I really liked her boyfriend. He was really, really cool. And I didn't care if they wanted to spend the night together or whatever, young couples do. And I was young too, so no big deal. But I would wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning because my apartment was freezing cold. And I'd go out and check the thermostat, and sure enough, she'd put it down to like 55 degrees, so it was just on nonstop. And it's not that I'm against the cold, because I can wear blankets, right? But when I'm paying the utilities, and all of a sudden my utility bill, which is normally, $75 or $100 a month, now keep in mind, this was way back in the 90s, right? All of a sudden that bill's pushing $200. Gosh, why do some people have to be told how to be decent, right? But it's just true. It's like you have to tell people rules, and that just bothers me. I feel like we should all have a general consensus on what is decent and what is not, If one of your friends is letting you sleep on the couch or letting you rent a room from them, don't ruin that relationship by costing them money, They're trying to save money by helping you out, and then what do? You end up ruining their whole situation, souring them on roommates for the rest of their lives. And by the way, that wasn't my worst roommate scenario. I was just giving you a roommate scenario, because that's one you can actually forgive and overlook, right? And they only raised my utilities by $100 or so. So, again, that's not worth losing a friendship over. But I've had some other roommates that did some pretty scandalous things. If any of you have a fun roommate story, share it with me, because some of those are classic. And even if this is the first time you've ever listened to me and you're never going to stick around for any other videos, tell us your nightmare roommate story. I think that would be a good thing to hear. Definitely. Hey guys, I wanted to also mention this. Chicago police are planning on releasing a video of a deadly shooting involving 5 of their officers. Now, based on what I know about Chicago, I bet there's a lot of officers that lose their life all the time in the line of duty, because that's probably got to be one of the toughest places to be an officer in all the world, right? But I heard that if you were to take away the guns in Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and I think it was like Houston or Detroit, if you took away the guns in these 5 cities, and notice I live in Phoenix, I'm not in one of those cities, but if you took away the guns from everybody in those cities, then America would no longer be like one of the top gun countries or where there's gun deaths and stuff. It would actually be in like the bottom 3. That's kind of eye-opening, because when you listen to the media or the news, they would lead you to believe that, you know, guns are just the bane of the world and these guns are just killing everybody, right? But I think you know deep down, just like I do, it's not the guns killing people, it's the criminals, it's the hardcore people out there that are playing God and you know, taking people's lives and ruining families. And when the whole country is trying to get federal laws passed to tie good people's hands behind their back. I've heard stories around the country where a criminal can break into your house, and if you shoot him, you could go to jail. Oh my God, whoever's the mayor or governor of those cities and states, they should be sent to jail. That's a shame. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Did you guys know that if you were to take away Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, and a couple of other cities in the country, then all of a sudden the whole country becomes one of the safest gun-toting countries in the world? That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy a gun, and I'm not saying go buy a gun and get trained and protect yourself, but I'm simply stating that if you do have a gun, by golly, people should be okay with it. You're not the bad person. You're trying to protect yourself from the bad person. I just hear all these stories about how good people's lives get ruined every day because other people in this world are trying to take shortcuts. And let's face it, if you try to force your way into other people's homes and try to take what's not yours, there's something really evil about that, you know? And maybe you disagree with me, but I think there are certain crimes that are just unforgivable, you know? Jesus is the one that's willing to forgive you, 77,000 times, right? That doesn't necessarily mean I am. I think we need to step it up on punishing people that do bad stuff, because they always do bad stuff to people like us, the people that want to do things the right way. And could you imagine if you started making proactive plans to change your life and do everything right, and imagine things started going your way, and then you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and somebody just decides they want to shoot up a building? It's just awful. And then we have a lot of people that go out of their way to make sure that those hardened criminals have every right that we can give them. And it's like, I was always told growing up, and I think you guys remember this, you guys are in my age group. We were always told that when you go to prison, you lose those rights, So don't get me wrong, some of us have family members that have been in the penal system and stuff, but I don't know, there's just something very animal about some of us human beings. Some of us really do seem like we're human, and some of us really seem like we're just devilish. And it seems like we're always willing to forgive these devilish people. If you're kind of fed up about hearing those stories on the news all the time, tell me in the comments. And don't get me wrong, we're in a big country. There's 330 million people here, right? So there's always going to be a situation where people are choosing to do the wrong thing and the bad thing and killing people and the whole 9 yards. And the media doesn't always have to plaster it on the news, but they do. But I'm human, and sometimes that does get me poisoned, you know? You're a cop, you're a police officer, you're trying your darndest to make sure you come home to your family every day. And then everything you do, it's like, God, you've got the media against you, you've got the people against you. If you're a police officer or part of law enforcement, I just want you to know, I'm on your side. I am on your side. I think the world of law enforcement. I know that there's 1% of them, or maybe 1/10 of 1% of them that are truly bad themselves. But I'm not going to hold it against all of them, you know? Hi, puppies. Yeah, I guess that was a little negative, but, you know, the reality is these things also lead to stresses, right? You get to the point where you don't even like the world you live in, and before you know it, you're trying to solve the problem by, you know, eating some Chips Ahoy cookies, you know? Because sometimes that's all you can do in life. Just get a bag of cookies and a 6-pack of beer and watch the game. God, sometimes I can't help but feel that that's what, like, the world wants out of us. The world just wants you to eat their products, watch the game, shut your mouth, and just be okay with it all. And that's a little disappointing. Very lackluster, you know? Very lackluster. I was facing in the sun for a while. So one of the things you do when you're walking in Arizona, you just kind of learn to take advantage of the fences and the shade whenever you can, you know? So Sherry Ann, again, I want to thank you for your comment, and I want to let other people know there is a chance that you're doing this every single day and you're not quite shedding the pounds like you'd like to. Don't give up. Don't give up. Stay with me. The first 15 or 20 days was simply to get you used to walking. Once you start walking daily, you literally are becoming a walking machine. Instead of oil or gasoline, we fuel that walking machine with water, okay? So when you're drinking water, pretend like you're literally filling up and go on your walk. In the mornings, when you walk, if you've been eating breakfast before you go on a walk, try something new. Try walking first, coming home, and then having your breakfast. And here's the thing I want you to contemplate. This is talking about the cues of hunger. If after your walk you come home and you don't have that cue to eat, try skipping that breakfast, okay? I don't consider it intermittent fasting. Is it intermittent fasting? I suppose, right? You're skipping a meal. But what I'm saying is skip it only if you don't feel hungry. If you do feel hungry, go ahead and have a bowl of Cheerios. Go ahead and have a bowl of oatmeal, okay? If you are gonna have bacon and eggs, regardless of what I tell you, maybe skip the 2 pieces of toast. Can we do that, right? You know how you always make 2 pieces of toast and bust out some butter for that toast to go with your bacon and eggs? Why don't you have, 2 or 3 bacon like you normally would? Maybe instead of 2 eggs, you just have 1, and ditch the toast. And instead of orange juice or, coffee with sugar in it, go with some unsweetened coffee, go with unsweetened tea or water, okay? Every day you make a little move like that, you make life bearable. I like to eat bacon and eggs just like anybody else. What makes the bacon and eggs bad is that we end up eating 5 pieces of bacon, and we end up having 2 eggs. We end up having 3 cups of coffee with 4 spoonfuls of sugar in each cup, right? Coffee is really addictive. There are some people that will drink multiple cups of coffee every day, multiple times, even after they've woken up. I'm sure you've met some of them. It always amazes me that people can drink hot liquids, but I was watching Turner Classic Movies a couple of years back, and they said something that I actually Googled, and I found that it's kind of true. In the Old West, they'd be around the campfire, right? It's probably at 90 degrees outside, and they'd be drinking hot coffee. Apparently, when you drink hot liquids, it helps cool you down. I don't see how that's true, but apparently there's something to it. Do you guys agree with that? Is there ever a time when you've been hot and you drink some hot coffee to wake up and it actually cools you down a little? Seems counterproductive. I would want some ice water. But hey, if it works, why not go for it, you know? People are skinning the palm trees. Talk about a scary job. Could you imagine climbing up the top of a pine tree? Or palm tree, excuse me. Just to skin it? Oh my God, scariest job ever. Scariest job ever. My daughter works for the Arizona Republic, and sometimes she goes out with a camera guy, not like a news camera, but like, you know, a camera guy for the newspaper. And they're out and about during the hot part of the day interviewing people and stuff. So I kind of get a kick out of doing this because I feel like it gets me closer to my daughter, even though she won't watch my YouTube channel for the life of me. Hey, if you guys have a YouTube channel out there, tell me, am I crazy, or does it seem like none of the family members and direct friends really want anything to do with your YouTube channel? You always think to yourself, God, I've got a good handful of friends. I bet if I did a channel, they would all subscribe and watch me. And the reality is, they're your friend from the standpoint of they want to, you know, they want to see you for an hour once a month, you know, but they don't want to see you for 45 minutes every day. And I see my analytics. My analytics tell me so much, because there's a handful of about 15 of you that watch every video, and then a lot of other people will just watch the first couple minutes, and it balances out to about 15 minutes per video. And it's just really weird, because when I used to create YouTube videos about 10-15 years ago, I would make 5 and 6 minute videos, and people would only watch like, you know, 45 seconds or a minute before they would, you know, turn off. And even though in many cases I'm making a 45-minute video, you guys are watching for like 15 minutes on average. Like that seems cool to me. Now I know some people might be YouTubers and thinking, oh, that might not be that good, Jesse, but I don't know, just to keep people listening and watching for 15 minutes, I'm impressed by it, you know? I think you guys are going to see something amazing from my point of view here over the next couple of weeks. I think what's going to happen is I think I'm going to lose 10 pounds in the next week or so, 10 pounds altogether, so probably another 3 or 4 pounds. And then I think the following month, I think I'll lose probably 12 or 13. And then in month 3, before I hit day 90, this is just a prediction, I could be a little bit off, but I think I'm actually going to have to slow down on something, because I'm telling you, I will shrink, you know. Some of us think we want to be small, but for guys, and maybe if you're a guy, maybe you can kind of tell me if I'm crazy, but I was never a fan of being 130 pounds, you know. I was 130 pounds during high school. I felt like a very short little person. I'm 5'9", so I didn't necessarily feel short, but I felt like boyish, you know. You want to have a certain weight as a guy. Now, I know there's a lot of women out there that would absolutely love to be 130 pounds, and if you get there through walking, drinking water, and avoiding sugar, then hey, have fun with your new body, right? But yeah, I don't necessarily want to get too skinny. Not at all. So anyway, Sherry Ann, I just want you to know I'm very proud of you. Please don't stop. Remember, even if you hypothetically never lost a pound, you're a walking machine now. You drink a lot of water. You're eating less sugar. When you go and do your annual lab work with your doctor, I think he or she is going to be super impressed with you. They're going to say, Sherry Ann, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Keep doing it. So guys, just remember, if you want, you can try what I had mentioned in yesterday's video. You can use water to fill up your stomach. You don't necessarily have to be hydrating throughout the day. Just breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and on your snacks, drink water. It will still hydrate you throughout the day if you think about it, but if it helps you eat less, that might be a little cheat code you can use. Just know that when I originally made that video, I was 34, and I don't necessarily feel that same way nowadays. I don't know if I use water to fill up my stomach. I just use water to avoid the sodas and stuff, and it has the same effect whether you drink it right before you eat your meal, or if you just drink it with your meal, or if you just eat and then you drink with it later. Because if some of you guys are past the weight loss surgery and you can't drink with your meal, then don't force it, obviously. And if you guys don't even enjoy the walk, you just like to see the reaction video at the beginning, let me know in the comments. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people aren't into exercise at all and never will be. I don't think anybody should put you down for it. That's just who you are. I know that there's some people out there that hate when they hear the term, it is what it is. But some of us are happy being overweight. And I don't mean happy as in we settle for being overweight. I mean, some people are legitimately happy. Don't take away their sunshine, you know? A lot of Christian people are like that. They look like they would be miserable, but they're happy. And I always see people trying to take away their sunshine. And some people are atheists, right? They don't necessarily believe in God, but they are so happy. And sometimes people take away their sunshine by saying, oh, you know, you're really missing out on the Lord, you know? I think the Lord knows there's some people out there that just, they're never gonna come around, you know? And, you know, there's some religions that are interesting, you know, where they believe in predestination and, you know, you are where you are and there is no free will. And there's a lot of things people think that's very interesting. Not interesting enough where I want to talk about them, you know, long term. But I just want you to know that as a team, we have people that are believers, we have non-believers, we have people that are chunky, people that are skinny. Some people want to maintain, some people want to get skinnier and healthier. Just know, whatever flips your boat. All right, so I got done with this walk. How about you? See you later.